Hey guys, let's try to do a little bit more Tour 10 here. I've been doing this a little bit here recently. Been starting to get a little bit more involved with this game, playing a decent amount this week. It's because of the tournament. I feel like it forces you to play a whole bunch. Let me show you. It should be the same bag from last time. I don't think I've really leveled up anything up since the other video. It's going to be slow going from here on out. I just opened a platinum chest. Got a couple more Thors, so that's nice. Be nice if they gave me another one of those today. Tour 10 platinums. I feel like they come out very rarely. So let's see here. I'm right about 300 out of 900 trophies here, which means I got to go at least plus 20 more games. That means 20 more wins than losses. Of course, it's going to be skewed a little bit because if it takes you a long time to do it, you're losing 2 trophies a time. So losing 2 trophies over, say, 50 games, well, you're losing an extra 100 there, which will be about 3 matches. So if I go plus 20, for example, which would be 15 and 35, over the course of those 15 losses, that's going to be 30. So I'm actually going to need to win an extra game on top of that. If, for instance, it took me 50 games. I don't think it's going to take me 50. I think it's going to take me more, because this is just kind of a brute. This tour's been kind of challenging. I am able to still beat guys, even though my clubs suck. But the biggest issue that I've been dealing with, I'm running out of time here. The biggest problem that I've been dealing with, let's see if I can hit the fairway here. There it is. Got the fairway. I've never successfully hit that fairway and ever been left. So you'll see that I'll kind of, be aggressive with you saw I was putting full left there and everything. The only thing I wasn't doing is I wasn't really adding too much power. I like to at least make sure that I'm in the fairway. Now this is the kind of wind that, if I don't play aggressive enough and my opponent hits a good drive, I could end up getting screwed here. So it is nice to be down there a good way at the same time. But he is using a little bit less ball, so I'm hoping I can use that to my advantage. So I don't think he's really any farther than me, maybe just a touch, but he's got a navigator on. So as you can see, I can get it to the cliff, but it might not be enough, to be honest with you. The shot's actually, in the grand scheme of things, pretty stupid to even attempt, because it's full just to even get up there. But I think if I hit it relatively perfect, it'll be up there somewhere. Nope. And that's why that's a stupid shot. But with my opponent outdriving me, I didn't want him to get the win there, and it looks like he didn't. So hopefully they give me the wind on the next go, and with the wind I should have just enough to get there, just barely. So it might not end up costing me a stroke. And again, I didn't know what wind they were going to give him, and he had me outdrove. So if they would have pointed his more downwind instead of in the face, he could have got there. So it's like I kind of had to force the issue a little bit. Now, I do think this one's a little bit more downwind. I think. I'll try it again. if I can get it to creep up there. As you can see, it's not going to end up costing me a stroke. So just enough wind to get up one there. And I wanted to make sure, because I never really hit that shot, I wanted to make sure that I top spun it. But obviously, as you can tell, it really didn't need it. And the only reason I was able to do that is because I was able to get the trail to the very top of that cliff. Had I not, if I would have tried taking off any power, it wouldn't have got there. I mean, you saw that on the first shot where I didn't get it there. So you just kind of see like how touchy that shot can be. The first shot was by no means in the face, but it just didn't get up the cliff. It's like a glitch in the game where it won't go as far as it's showing you. So it's a little glitchy the way that they show it. I would have had to hit it just perfect and, hope. Like I said, this shouldn't end up costing me a shot. You really don't have to play this wind here. I'll play right on the left of the cup, or right of the cup, sorry. Nothing fancy. You don't really need to play the wind there. Guy probably thought he had an easy win, and then I just took it away from him. He still might win, but he's going to have to work for it. So you see how touchy that shot can be, though. That second shot, it was a very risky shot, but the second time around I basically, had to go for it. So now I have a shot on this hole that I've been doing about 4 topspin when it's into the face. Depending on how they point my wind, I might do 3 topspin, or at least 2.5. We'll see. I like to really keep this ball moving, so I like having it, to where it has topspin. That way it's still moving. And that's just kind of my preferred way to play it. So let's see how good this guy gets his. See if I'm going to have a good chance to beat it or not. He had a pretty solid shot. But you see how his ball's really moving the whole time? And it's not getting snagged or anything. You see, that's going to be a really hard shot to beat. I can get this. I have got it once. But coming inside 0.7 is going to be really challenging. And that's kind of and you're going to see how mine's right in the face? So you are going to see me do full topspin here. And again, I'm going to do more of what I was just mentioning, how I'm going to, just try to keep the ball moving as best as possible. And it's going to be probably with an 11.4, I'm playing about 1.75 per ring. So I'm going to go at least 7 rings here. Might add just a tiny bit of power. A little bit of curl, as much as I can. And again, I'm really trying to shoot it down here and just keep it moving. And what that does is it gets it kind of on the right trajectory. Now, I don't think I had quite enough momentum, so I am going to end up just to the left here and probably not closer than his ball. As you see, I was still able to, hit it respectable inside a yard. He just hit his, ever so closer. So, and then this is the reason that, Tour 10 is going to take me a bit, because, what do you do? Like, that's just bound to happen. Like, it's really hard when your opponent's in there like that to go in there and beat him. I would have had to have beat him outright. Let me just close my apps down. I feel like I have a little bit too much lag right now going on my screen. So, you know, I had a chance to beat him outright with an eagle on that first hole. And, you know, it was just a couple yards short. A couple yards from getting to that green. And that would have been, you know, my out for beating that guy, as opposed to having him put at 0.7 from the hole. Now, you know, 0.7 is relatively exceptional. It's really hard to beat that. It's essentially ace. I mean, you can get it to sit on the lip, but I recommend doing it the way that you saw kind of either one of us do it. Because you saw his shot was a little bit more luck involved, because when you get way high like he did, not into the green and going more towards that back fringe, the way his just trickled through there was just right. It doesn't always come through like that though. Whereas if you keep it moving and it stays on the green, it kind of takes like one path. But sometimes it'll get snagged on that, and sometimes you'll hit the collar and it'll just stop. Like it'll just die right on the collar. So it's like, you just kind of never know what you're going to get sometimes. So, and if I get wind in the face on this one, what I do is I just lay up here. You're going to see me, you know, pop it in this back fairway. I usually spin it over towards the left, which is like kind of keeping it away from the rough. And then there's a little hill that usually stops it from, there's usually a little hill there that'll stop it from running into the rough, and that's why you kind of see me side spin it towards it. It looks like I did go a little bit farther than I expected it to, but I might not have put enough backspin on it. I can't remember if I did full or not. What I like to do is do full and really stop that ball. Now I think I'm going to be okay for the second shot, but I'd like a little bit closer. This guy could technically go for it and try to go through. So let's see how good he can aim here. It's not bad. You don't want to lay it up short and then hit the rough. That's something you definitely don't want to do. So again, it looks like, yeah, for the most part, I can get completely over the trees here. You're gonna see me do it. Is it Saturn? The long part of Saturn here. So as long as I don't have tree trouble, you're gonna see me go at it like this. Now, oh Jesus, how does this happen? This really frustrates me when that happens. It doesn't make any sense. Like I'm not even touching the bullseye. It looks like that's the point where it just starts to trickle. I might just curl it just a touch, just to keep it away from that one spot. Oh wow, wow, jeez. Looks like I overplayed it. Terrible. If I wouldn't have been running low on time there. See, what I was about to do was I was about to bring my shot trail in and then do the curl shot but since I didn't have enough time to touch my shot arrow to bring it back in from the tree once I got to the tree, you just saw me curl it instead, and it was too much. So what I should have done is I should have maybe shanked it like 2 rings, and it would have probably been perfect. But I wasn't even thinking about doing that, so that's why I didn't do it. So I'm hoping it doesn't matter. I mean, I feel like I can still get this and we can go to the tiebreaker here. The way you're going to see me play it is I'm going to play it as short as possible here. As short as it'll allow me to. And what this does is it promotes, you know, keeping it online. I'm having trouble in this bunker seeing whether or not I'm in the center, so Just hoping I'm pretty good here. Oh, geez. I was really slow with that. We're not going to the tiebreaker. I'm on that shot. So that's really just a stupid thing. Yeah, it is unlucky too, because I shouldn't have even been there. If I had had 5 more seconds, I would have been able to adjust that. It's so annoying. I had to put it on that one spot that was on the tree. If I wouldn't have stopped it right there on the tree and had to curl it, I would have been fine. It's so frustrating to throw away a game like that. I mean, that was just a waste of a game right there. Because it should have never ended up there, ever. I mean, I would have played it way more cautious if I would have even thought for a second that all that would have happened. I wanted to bring it back in, at least, you know, a couple. I just was running out of time and had to hit it. So, whatever. It is what it is. Let's just move on from that. Try to continue this video. See if I can't get a couple better shots going. So with this wind, it's a little bit tricky. I like to, if at all possible, give the green a go here, but this is really pushing my limits on a wind like that. So probably going to see me just lay up here. What I usually like to do is, when it's downwind, about 1 ring of topspin. Tiny bit of curl. Just kind of getting it over here, safe. And I can still make it from here. And that's one of the reasons that it's, you know, not the end of the world that I couldn't drive the green. And it looks like this guy got straight side wind. He can still go for it though. That's the problem. That's how many more yards he has on top compared to me. So now I gotta hope for a little bit of luck here. Hope that he keeps it in the rough or something. Let's see if he has just enough, or if it's gonna stop. Yeah, it's gonna be almost impossible to beat this guy when he drives the green. This is crazy. I mean, I can still tie this guy, but it's just one of these things that it's like, this tour is just exhausting. It is mentally exhausting playing these guys that just all have better clubs than you. Every single one of them. But I'm doing what I can. You know, right now I'm just in a rough patch. You know, obviously you can see I'm still knocking away at trophies. One guy, you know, hits it in there, 0.7. I do a stupid thing on that last one. Let's just see if I can't just pop this in here. Looks like I'm more towards mid club, maybe 3 per ring here. Not enough. Just an underplay. So this guy has extra mile 8. So I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, forfeit out of this one. That way I don't have to play that guy again. It makes it easier on guys that just have you ridiculously outmatched in clubs. Like, he didn't even have downwind there, and he can get to the green. I can barely, maybe get it over the pond with my driver. Barely. And mine was actually downwind. I need more downwind than that. So let's see if I can't just, you know, recover from this a little bit. The one that really bothers me is like, that doesn't bother me because I could have still made that pitch. So, I mean, it sucks that I didn't, but one that really bothers me is the one that I just gave to that guy. I still should have made the bunker shot, but I just shanked it too much. So I think I have enough here to kind of go for this. Hopefully I'm right. Yeah, definitely. Problem is, I might not be close enough. I'm right in that range that I was last time, where the wind's going to have to be just right for me to get there. And this guy has Apocalypse 4. You know, that's probably worse than Extra Mile 8, that last guy. But I don't think, you know, for the most part, you know, the clubs that guys have in this tour are going to completely dominate me. But it's like if he gets there in 2 on this hole, there's almost nothing I can do. So it's just one of those things. I did just win 100 Titans too, so I might start playing a couple of those for a while. I had some katanas from that package deal that they let me get. So this guy's going to be in the same boat as me. He hit it to basically the same spot. I'm assuming he might have a 3-wood that can potentially get there. And you see we're right kind of in this same zone that we were last time. I'm right in this questionable spot on whether or not I can get over. Like, it is very close. When you can get it right up there on that top there, you may be able to. What you don't want to do is, like, I don't want to pull it down here because that's going to make the ball fly lower. It did stay up, but as you can see, not on the green. But I think it might be easier to pitch from this side. So even if I laid it in the rough, it's better than laying up. And this guy, he's in the same boat as I am. He got wind in the face a little bit. If he goes for it, he is very, very questionable. He's right in that perfect zone that I kind of want him to be, because he could end up in the rocks. I mean, you saw I could just as easily have ended up in the rocks too. And this guy's right on that same borderline. We're going to hit this really good, really perfect, just to get it up on top there. You see, he hit the very tip. Very tip. So it almost came down. If he would have, shanked that, he might have not had the same result. So, I think you're more likely to make this pitch than you are from the other side. It's going to play a little bit more consistent. I don't need to play a lot of wind here. You're seeing I'm just moving it to the other side of the hole. Not very much. Oh, crap. And it was just ever so slightly an underplay. Just barely. A fraction. I just had to move it a fraction of an inch. So the shot that you're about to see him do is kind of complicated. I think he's better off doing it the way I did. But you can still do it this way, but I find it to be a little glitchy the way, like, I've tried this a couple times and sometimes it plays a little glitchy. I think it's just easier to, play it with a backspin shot as opposed to, because you see he has to side spin it so much. To play the forward spin shot, you have to side spin it so much. I think it makes it too tricky. It's one of the only times that I'd say, just stay clear of that shot. And you see I was that close to just a game of an inch. That close to ending this thing before the tiebreaker. Starting my pursuit at getting my 3 games back. So hopefully I can be on the, the favorable side of this shootout. This is a hard shootout hole. I don't like going first on it, so I'm glad I'm not. I like seeing, so the guys using Goliath have an extreme advantage over me. It's one of the only holes that I feel, shorter that I'm not using Goliath, because they can almost play Goliath on any wind on this hole. Whereas my Saturn's a lot trickier. It's got to be downwind. Of course, downwind, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to play it. It out. See what this guy does. Oh, wow. So if he hits the rough like that, the safe bet is just, pop it over. Just play this very cautiously. Be very cautious here. So normal Saturn is two per ring. And it looks like I'm at least 7 rings short. So you would think I'm good as is. But as you see, I have plenty of room to play with. So I'm going to just pull it back. So I pulled it back about an extra 5 rings. Because I know, first off, it's way downhill. And second off, all I have to do is, miss the rough. So that's what you're going to see me do. Nothing on my line, nothing fancy. I don't want to bring that cliff into play, nothing. So I'm just playing it cautious and getting the win. I played it probably at least 12 rings short of the rough there. Very cautiously. Just to get the win. So I would suggest, similar. In fact, even though that you're seeing me kind of, make a couple mental mistakes, I think there's a lot of value in this video. You saw some good, especially on those cliff holes. Both times we played the cliff, I feel like that's a really good tutorial for making your decision making, whether or not to go for that or not. So first and foremost, you want to make sure that your shot arrow's up there on top of the cliff. Second off, you could see that guy was sniper. His was basically a little bit into the wind, and he just went for it and just got up there. So you see, that was a little risk reward type thing. But it's only good to be up there if you're confident in the pitch. So let's see if I can't make a correction on this hole. Get some payback on this one. Because I feel shorted on that last round. So what I like to do, I won't do it that much, but I like to do this with a little bit of side spin. And in terms of that wind, I'm not even going to do it with side spin because of the wind. But I'm going to play this at least 6 rings. And then, straight up. I'm not going to add anything. I feel like that's going to push my ball into the trees. But it might not. Let's see. Yep. In the rough. Man. So I almost had it. I knew I couldn't miss left there. I knew I could maybe miss right on my tee shot. I knew left was going to be no good. But it almost actually came back. I almost got lucky. Because if it would have just clipped on the fairway there, that's a makeable pitch. It's still makeable, but it's extremely challenging from the rough. So let's just hope he doesn't put his, perfect, ideal, which he did. So, I'm going to be up against it because his is going to be very makeable. Extremely makeable. So I'm really at a disadvantage here. Now I did get a side wind. That might mean that he gets a side wind too. That could help my odds. Hopefully that he doesn't make it. What you need to do for your aim is you need to put it kind of just short. I like to kind of size up how far out I am. On something that's kind of this far, even though it's not like really far, I'm going to play probably at least 4 rings per on this, maybe even a little bit more. So I'm not even going to go 2 full rings here because it comes in low and it's kind of far. It's towards probably half distance on this club. Let's see if I can. You see, my aim was pretty sound there for the most part. So what does that tell you? That means that on a shot of that distance, like I was just trying to size up how far it was probably, 5 rings per yard, or 5 yards per ring. So what does that mean? The wind was like 8 something. So 1 ring would be 5 yards, or 5 miles per hour, for example. And then 2 would be 10. So I was going under 10. I was basically trying to guesstimate what, 1.8 would be, for example. So I tried to play at about 1.8 rings. It was just an underplay. You see this guy underplay. My shot was closer. So I didn't see what club he was on. I could have maybe walked you through his pitch as well, but I wasn't paying attention to his shot. There's a strategy for the wedges. If you want to check out my Masters tournament, I have it pretty sized up pretty well. If you're using something with high accuracy like 100% or 90%, I have a pretty good tutorial on my California Classic Masters round. If you want to search for the back 9, this hole came up. This hole was on the tournament, and it was like this. It was like but it was even more. It was like a 13 side wind, and I was able to make the shot. So I have a pretty good strategy for wind play, especially on side winds. I kind of got it, kind of a system down. I think you could use that to your advantage to try to figure out how to make some of those pitches. One of the things to always keep in mind is if you have a power ball on, like I think both of us do, it's going to go a little bit farther in the air, so you'll want to add to your ring distances. So for example, if my end bringer is 1 yard per ring, and I have a Kingsmaker on, well, I might go let's see if I can do this real quick. So I might go, for example, play at 0.9 yards per ring, because I know, come on, well, at least stop. Oh, jeez. Need just a touch more backspin. 4.29 is going to be trash. That is not good. I need to stop that a lot faster than that. I'm almost going to lose no matter what. There's almost no way this guy's putting it that far. So for example, if I was getting towards max club on that pitch, on that last hole, and it was, say, 8 miles per hour to the side wind there, well, 8 rings would be the correction that you would normally use on max distance. Whereas I might go closer to 10 and play at 0.9, but then I'll add just a touch extra for, you know, shot correction as well. You see, I should have beat this guy, especially at 3.28. That's really frustrating to see 3.28, and then I lost because mine rolled out too far. Because mine would have never been 3.28 had I kept it short or stopped it or whatever. So that's just one of those, you know, frustrating losses. Just not quite enough backspin. Eventually I'll start, you know, restricting these mistakes that I'm making, because I feel like that's just something, I mean, it's good that I'm doing this so you can kind of see, you know, how touchy it can be. Because I know you've seen me probably play this hole, and probably in the other video where I use maybe like 4 rings of backspin, and then there I use probably 3.5, and you know, that little distance. And it just depends, because sometimes I actually use that, like sometimes I actually play that shot. Like I'll actually play it like that specifically. So it really just, it's based on situation. Now this hole can be kind of tricky. I'm going to aim for this rough. Recommended. It's kind of challenging. It's 13 miles per hour down. I'm probably going to play like 12 rings. And you kind of see how my spin is. I'm going to try to counter it a little bit. I'm going to add just a touch of power. That's kind of the reason that I'm taking this shot. Because if I hit that rough, and then you're seeing how it's coming in left to right. I did hit the rough, but I didn't hit it on the right spot of the rough. I needed just a little bit more power. Now, if that hits that fairway on the second bounce, it's right by the hole. So I was very close to pulling that off. You see, this guy has even a trickier wind than me. He has 2 extremely hard shots. He can either do what I did, which was try to play it off that rough, or he can try to hit this bounce shot. The bounce shot's even harder in my opinion. I'd rather go for the rough, just because my mistake will put me, well, it doesn't look like he's going to make a mistake. He's still going to hit the fairway, I think. So, you know, he could pull this off. But my guess is he's going to send it too far. Now he just hit the rough there. So that's actually very well done. You see he's just on the fairway there. He should make that. And once again, you know, I'm going to kind of be up against it. So frustrating how nothing's working out for me right now. So let's see if I can't just pop this in. You know, I don't have to play too much here. Inside cup, I recommend. You know, you can see the trajectory. It comes in so low that it doesn't really get up in the wind, and that's why you don't really have to play them on these small pitches. Ah, jeez, come on. I just cannot catch a break. Looks like I had to move it just fractionally outside the edge of the cup. Now, you don't want to get carried away with those plays. It just sucks missing that shot like that. And you know, with the wedge, it's going to come in hotter, so you actually do have to play the wind. So you're seeing this guy put it outside the cup. He probably does have to go outside the cup, because his ball, you can even see it there. It arcs up higher than mine. Just one of these things. This is just so frustrating, just tanking all these games. I'm just throwing away all these trophies. And it can just be so frustrating. But then, you know, I'll go on a streak and I'll win 8 of these. So it's just like, you know, so very... And, you know, the difference can be fractionally. And, you know, that guy was, you know, he was fractions of an inch from... Well, okay, so... I was fractions of an inch from pulling my shot off too, but you know, his was almost too far. I mean, if he would have landed his drive 1 yard farther, he wouldn't have hit the rough on his second bounce, and he would have been through the green in the bunker. So you just see how precise you have to be. The difference between winning and losing, especially at this level, is just so minute. It's just so small. So one of the things that you want to do is try to, limit your mistakes. And as you see, I'm just doing a really terrible job at that right now. I have not played this bad, or I wouldn't even say I'm playing bad. I would say I haven't caught these bad of breaks since even starting Tour 10. So, I know that things are going to eventually work their way out for me. And, I'm going to get these trophies back. But it's just crazy that, what am I down, like 100 trophies now? It's crazy. So, again, I've mentioned this in the past. I don't like really driving this into that shadow. You're going to see me lay up here. Just do it with some side spin. You don't really need a super long drive here. I'm fine with anything right around the base of the shadow. I think it's a nice angle. You can really make the pitch from this angle. Of course, you can make it from over there, but it's like, why even potentially bring rough into play? So you'll see some guys, they'll take it way up into that shadow. But I think the ideal shot is where the two of us are. So I would say you should probably lean towards doing it like this. I'm having some really bad breaks right now, so I'm really going to go for this shot here and just try to make this outright and not even get to a tiebreaker. You've seen me be right off the edge on like 3 holes so far. So it's best to just concentrate here and just try to figure out, play the right correction, not even go to the extra hole, especially when you're in a funk. So unfortunately, we're right on the edge of the club, and I hate this because it usually starts playing a little glitchy for me towards this fairway here. You see how it's changing trajectories or changing paths. So I'm right at the north end of the club here. That usually means I use right around 2 rings per. So I'm going to go just a shade over 4 rings here, just to account for that little shot correction as well. And not enough. What did I do wrong there? Maybe it's not 2 yards per. You know what? I think it actually is less than that. I think my accuracy just went up on this club when it went up to Tour 5. I don't think I counted it enough. Plus, it's a downhill shot. I think I was probably at least a ring off, probably. See if I can't catch a break on this. Another thing, I think I'm not mentally all there right now, especially with making this video. I just feel like I'm not really thinking about everything as precise as you need to. Especially when, the differences are like a yard. 1 yard difference on stuff will... just look at my ball on that one tiebreaker hole where I put it 4 yards and it ran down the hill past the pin there. The difference between that staying up and being right by the hole was... We're not talking about... And half a yard caused me to run out 4. So, just one of those things that you have to be so precise. So you want to be very exact with your aims and all that. So this guy rushed this a little bit because he was running out of time, and I should easily beat that. When you see your opponent do something like that, just do something that you know is going to beat it. That's kind of the best advice I can give you guys. So you see Thor, this is the low end of Thor. And you know, this is going to be kind of my target line. And then I'm going to correct for at least at least 7 rings here. Just to be on the safe side. There's nothing wrong with long this time. So you're seeing I'm going past the hole, right on line. If I wanted to actually go for that shot, I could have just pulled a little bit off. So I think that's only my second win. Oh man, brutal. How many trophies have I dumped since playing this? 196, so I'm still down 100. Brutal. So that means I'm like 2 and 5. It's crazy. It's crazy. We got to start getting back in this thing. There's no reason to drop trophies like that. So always got to, be thinking, what can you do to, make the next game go your way. Because even when I'm down, it's like, the next game doesn't have to be like that too. So it's just something to always think about. And here you're going to see me for a 7 wind. I'll probably play this 4 rings. So maybe like towards here. And then you're seeing I'm doing this with the left spin. That was what I was trying to mention to you before about how I like doing that. Perfect ball. Let's see if I can't get this. This is one of the biggest reasons, is so it cuts back and hopefully slides through there. Just in the bunker. So I didn't quite play enough. I should have probably played maybe like 5 rings on that adjustment. You're seeing it just in the bunker, but it's just in the bunker on the other side of the tree. That's the key. So making sure you get over to that other side can be crucial. In fact, sometimes you'll just see guys just beat it into the tree up in front of them, because they know, like, if it's going to be to where it's questionable whether they don't know if they're getting there or not getting there, they'll just bump it into the trees. Because if you hit it into the trees and get in the bunker on the other side, well, at least you're not going to get par. You're just going to whack it up there, put it on the green, and then tap it in. So that's a strategy that I see from time to time a couple guys will do. This isn't the type of wind that you would want to do that. I feel like when it's downwind, you can really focus on getting this shot, as opposed to, you see, it's still going to probably go through. The worst case scenario, he could hit the tree head on. That's very low percentage shot that's going to happen, that you'd actually, have that miserable luck. And you see, even though this isn't ideal, you just pop it up there, give it a run. So what I like to do, first I tried to size up how far it was. So this one comes in a little bit higher than the rough iron does. So you're going to see me probably play more, maybe 4 rings per. Another perfect ball. It's so frustrating. Short. Just so crazy that I'm hitting all these perfect balls and not getting anything to fall. I'm just thinking about all the pitches that you've said. I think I've hit 3 pitches out of rough today on this video that were perfect balls. I didn't make a single one. I just missed all of them. It's like those fraction of inches, and it's like when I'm spot on, all 3 of them go in. You know, the outcome of these matches are completely reversed. And, you know, I'm 5-2 as opposed to 2-5. So it's just something to think about. It's just how important that timing is. And the more practice you get doing this stuff, the better you can get at it. So I would say, you know, just focus. And there's a lot of guys getting perfect ball. It's like, especially in Tour 11, Tour 10, you're just seeing a lot of perfect balls out of rough. And so I have Guardian. For this one, I like to do a backspin shot. I got to make sure that I'm going to be able to get there, because I am more max club, and this is really into the wind. Now, the way I play it is more off this slope here. And this is going to be more towards max club, so maybe like 1.75 per ring, which I'm going to go 8 rings, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's just a little short. But it usually comes in kind of slow. You can usually get it around the 2-yard range. This could be a little over that. I'll usually do a little bit of curl back towards the right. You didn't really see me do that because the wind was left to right. So when you see the wind left to right like that, you'll see me do more of a shot like that, where I'll just let it naturally. And you see I still missed it too right. I don't even, like, I almost should have even curled that back to the left just a touch, just to counter that spin, because that extra side spin that it put on pushed it short, whereas it wouldn't have been short had I countered that. It would have actually fed down more towards the hole. I would have been even closer. I might have even made it. So let's see if I can hold on. Chances are pretty good that I will, but he also hit a pretty decent shot too, so it's going to be close. And I know we're really close. It is really close. Jesus, this is unbelievable. It's the same guy. This is crazy. So you're just seeing, you know, match after match just completely not go my way. And, you know, that's just the breaks of it sometimes. That's why I told you this is, I knew that this tour was going to be more of a grind. First off, my clubs are entirely outmatched. But aside from that, this is the one tour that I call, you know, the biggest luck tour out of all 11. This is the one that the shots, like when you're hitting into that hill shot, it's like you're just hoping to be just barely closer than somebody else. There's no way of stopping it. Like, you can't hit a quality shot and just, you know, say I'm definitely stopping it 0.5 from the hole on that hole. It's just not even possible. So that hole is just what I consider to be kind of a luck hole. There's obviously some strategy. My Guardian shot there, I can get it inside 2, and then the shot that guy hit, he's going to have a little bit more trouble hitting it inside 2. So my shot's easier to hit it inside too. The execution there was just a little off. But then you have those two new ones on this course, this UK course. That was pretty decent. Man, everybody's pulling this stuff off. This is just crazy. This should be the video that just shows you how to play all the best opponents, because, I mean, every shot they're doing is just spot on. So, again, you're going to see me, you know, this is straight downwind. I'm going to play a very similar shot to what you just saw me do, which is going to be just a little bit of right spin. For that 8.4, I'm going to play I'm going to account for at least 8 rings here. Sounds crazy, but when you go straight downwind, that's just the way it works. That's just the way wind works in this game. So I'm going to add a little bit of power, but not very much. And again, you know, it's at least 8 rings that I'm accounting for here. Perfect ball, that's a good sign. And you know, the difference between perfect ball and not perfect ball can, you know, be the difference between the holes. So you see, I'm not getting super aggressive. When I play this with Apocalypse, I'll be trying to make it. At this point, I'm really just trying to, you know, just hang on, hit shots into the green. I don't need to do anything too fancy. Actually going for that shot is risk. So if I would, for example, if I would have shanked that one to the right, a great ball to the right, which is actually you see me do that a lot on my driver. So my shot would have actually been probably spot on. Like, it would have actually been on the hole. But what I wanted to make sure was, you know, that great ball to the right that I like to hit doesn't end up in the bunker. And the way I was just playing that shot, it wasn't going to be. So you were seeing me play it a little bit more to the left, as opposed to if you get a little bit more aggressive and go on line there, then you have no room for error on the right. And I don't really like that, because, like, what's the chances I'm going to hold this out? I mean, it's pretty low, so really shouldn't go for the hole out. Of course, on my main, where, you know, I have everything already pre-maxed out, I'm just going to go for everything every time. I don't care if I lose. This is not a big deal. But this, where I'm in a grind, and I really need trophies to move up, and, you know, everybody keeps talking about that 3,900. If I can get the 3,900, well, then I can get Apocalypse in the shop. Well, I feel like at this point I need Apocalypse. I haven't even unlocked a single Tour 7 anything. That's a pink card. Not a single one. So getting those clubs can be crucial. Come on. I need to figure out how to turn off notifications. This is just crazy. I'm completely locked right now. This is the worst. Look how laggy this is. This is crazy. This is crazy. I cannot play my shot like this. I cannot do it. I'm not even going to hit the green if I have to play the shot like that. This is crazy. It's all caused by all those notifications. I get so much stuff come into my phone. It just makes it impossible to actually play this game and have notifications on. So, you know, same shot you're going to see me do every time when we have Into the Wind. And you're always going to want to, go a little bit more than you want to. Because especially when it's straight in the face, again, like I was mentioning, you want to keep this ball rolling pretty good. You see it started to slow down a little bit, so I know it's going to be out to the left a little bit, at least a yard. I'm still trying to get it in there somewhere, about a yard. 0.85. So I don't even know where this guy is. Hopefully I'm closer. And I am closer. And every time that I go out of the game like this, it's going to automatically crash, come back in because it doesn't show the prize chests. So the key I want to remind you of is when you're going straight into the wind like that, make sure that you're overplaying stuff. And remember, like, how much the wind is actually going to affect your ball straight on or straight down. Like on that, think about that shot that I hit on the par 4 right before that hole. I played 8 rings, even though the club is supposed to be 1.75 for max. With the extra power, maybe we'll call it 1.6. It's 1.6 per ring, right? Yards per ring. I'm playing it at 1, and it's kind of spot on. And it's just the effect of being straight downwind that's causing that entirely. So I've talked a little bit about the way I like to play this one. I don't like to do anything real aggressive here. Nothing too fancy, just enough to where I can see that it's going to be over that bunker and then kind of curl it towards it. Wow. It was closer to the bunker. Now the bunker you see it feeds away from that bunker. I thought I was going to be safe. Now I did leave enough room to where I could shank it like you actually saw me shank it 1 bar left, and it was still okay. But that was actually dangerously close to the bunker. But that's not a terrible bunker to be in either. If you hit it in that, it's not the end of the world. So don't be too worried about that. It's better than being way over to the right. Maybe not in terms of, it's probably better to be on the fairway than not be in the fairway, but the angle being in that bunker is a lot better than being too far to the right here. And I know you guys have probably seen me do this one a couple times. What I like to do is more of a stop shot on this hill. So you'll see me kind of try to be stopping it right here and then have it feed down towards the hole. So let me see where I am. I'm a little bit towards mid club here, but a little bit on the short end. So I'll play at about 4 rings there. See if I can get this, and you're seeing it's kind of stopping where I had it lined up. This looks pretty good. Nope, cut right at the last second. So it was coming in nice, but then it started going in too slow and then fed away. But you see what I was trying to do was kind of stop it. Pointed, it was kind of in that dark, shaded one. And that's kind of the ideal place to stop it. Somewhere in that dark shaded one to the right of the cup, to the left of the cup. Like right where he has his with my side spin. That's kind of my target line. And then like on that, I was playing more like 4-ish rings, maybe just a shade over for that wind. And so my numbers for my Saturn are pretty close to max distance is like 2 yards per ring. Like mid distance is like 2.25. So, and that's more in the lines of what I was using. And this guy actually got this the fall. Brutal. Another loss. And that's probably one of the guys that, you know, I probably don't want to be playing. Because with all his, you know, tournament banners and all that other stuff, you know, he just had a lot of games in. And, you know, most guys are like that. But if they have good finishes, especially on pro or above, I'm going to be extremely outmatched. So here you're seeing me play it. I played about 5 rings and then curled. And then you also see me shank it left. So, you know, it was kind of the equivalent of 7 rings there. Was about the adjustment for a 10.5. And that's what you'll see. You know, I play kind of spot on that 1.7 number, especially with Titans. 1.6 to 1.7 is kind of the adjustment that you want. So on like a 9, if you're playing that, you know, 1.7 per yards per, that's going to be, you know, 6 rings. It's pretty spot on. See where we're at. We're at an hour at this point. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. This will be the last hole. We haven't had this one on this tour yet. I have been able to get this one a bunch of times. This hole is starting to treat me good. Let's see if I can't just pop this in again. Kind of end on a good note here. So I'm more towards mid-club. And usually when I'm mid-club, I go about 2.5 per ring, give or take. Maybe a shade more. So 2 1/4, we'll call it. Somewhere in that ballpark. Perfect ball. Just topped the hole. The line was perfect. So that means I just had it pulled just too far. Just barely too far. Brutal. This is definitely too much of a correction. I can't even believe they let you get it to the green from here. It's crazy to me. Like, how do they let you hit out of that bush? He almost shanked it in the cup. That's one of the things that worries me, which guys go way too far and then they shank it. And then I'm like, well, this could be a good shot now. Every once in a while, I'll do the same thing, though, where I'll completely, you know, brain fart or something. Not estimate how far. Now, you know, I've talked about some of the distances. You know, if you want to go back to that vineyard hole where you saw me in the rough, or Santa Cruz, whatever that course is, one of the two, where you saw me in the rough and the bunker on the same one. Well, I hit perfect balls from both of them. I was talking about the adjustments a little bit. It's about 5 rings per, kind of that. But as you get closer to the hole, you know, that number increases. And the farther away you get, say I was at max club, you know, for the rough iron, maybe my Nirvana right now is playing 2 yards per on max, or 2.5 yards per ring. So if I'm on max club, I might play it at 2.5 yards per ring. But on kind of at that mid distance, you know, I'm kind of halving it. And then when I get more towards the short distance, maybe I'm playing at 10 yards per ring. So, and that's what you've seen me do on some green shots where I'm, you know, just adjusting, you know, just the ever fraction. So because I'm playing it like, 10 yards per ring or just something crazy large number, because it's going to be like highly accurate. All right, so that's a pretty solid shot. There's a couple ways I can beat it, but all of them require sound execution. So the way that I'm going to go is more or less, the same approach that he did. Usually you add topspin to this shot. Now I'm not going to do it this time. You see I'm right at max distance here. So I shouldn't need, and right towards max distance, it plays more like 1.75 rings. We talked about this, but since it's more downwind, I'm going to add to that number by about a ring. So if I'm playing at 1.75, I'm playing 5 rings, it should be about enough, but I might go 6. Because again, it's straight. First off, it's a little downhill, but it's also like straight downwind too. Let's see if I can't just get this to stop. Yeah, and I did. So even with Guardian, I don't have the ball trail, I can still pull that shot off. And that's one of the reasons that I think you should, have Guardian in your bag. It's because I can still play that shot, the same shot that you see all these guys pulling off with Sniper, but I'm able to still do it with Guardian. And you see, like, normal shot there, like I was mentioning, would probably be, the adjustment numbers on my Guardian. Let's just look at the accuracy here real quick, and I'll just, work it out for you. So the accuracy is 66. I know accuracy 50 is 2 yards per ring. So every 5 is going to be 0.1 off of that. So 3 sets of that, because it would be 55, 60, 65, is 1.7 yards per ring. So at 1.7 yards per ring, I should go 5 rings in theory. Since it's either, hitting to a lower elevation, also, hitting straight downwind, I'm going to add 1 to that number. So you saw me go an extra ring beyond what I should be. You saw me go to 6 rings there. I made that little extra push, landed almost perfect. And you see another thing that I didn't do, which I didn't put topspin on. Normal shot requires about, for that same land zone, one bar of topspin. Since it's straight downwind, I didn't add that topspin. I kept it off intentionally, and you saw that it just ran out perfect distance. So use that to your advantage. Hopefully you found this video entertaining. Hopefully you like seeing me get my ass kicked here a little bit, because that doesn't happen very often. But I know I dropped at least 2 games here. I mean, there's tons of losses, but I think overall net, I dropped 3 games. So, and it's just those little fractions of inches and, a bunch of holdouts. There's some stellar play in this video. Even my mistakes, they're not terrible. It's just the difference between, just overplaying my ring or, just barely missing here and there. So hopefully you can, take some value in those misses or overplays, and you can kind of apply that to your game and try to not make the same mistakes. And plus, law of averages, if I go and play another 10 games, the likelihood of that same outcome being whatever I just played there. I mean, I feel like I was probably 4-7, something like that. I was probably 4-7 there. If I play 11 games, at least, 6-7 times out of that, they're all going to be winning. I'll be 6-5, 7-4, It's like, but then you'll just have those 1 or 2 sets where, you know, it's just a grind. So you just, you know, you just got to forget that last hole and just move on to the next. Look at every new hole as brand new. And just being like, okay, well, I lost this one, but it doesn't matter. Like, the very next game, that can be the time that I go on an 8-game win streak. And you just take it 1 game at a time. You just get that little win, and then do it again. Do it again. Keep doing it. I mean, you could see I was very close to making a lot of shots there. Like, some of my misses were just, you know, right off the edge, just burning the edge. It's like just fractionally, if I would have changed this or that, it's like this outcome would have been entirely different. So use that to your advantage and, you know, just try to figure it out. Good luck with your Tour 10. I am going to be doing more videos. I will label this as part 2. And I'm going to do at least probably 2 more videos for you guys, because this is a very popular tour to get a lot of questions. Plus, there's a vast amount of holes. You just see just so many different holes. And there's, I'm just thinking of all the ones that we're not getting. And it's just crazy to think, like, those holes are still missing. Because there's just so many out there. So, anyway, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. And good luck with your Tour 10, guys. Feel free to comment if you have any other comments.